Okay, I want to talk about going from 33s, or really any size tire, up to 35s. These are still 33s. It's been a long process getting the Jeep ready for 35s. You can't just throw them on there. You have to have clearance. You need clearance in the fender well. You can cut your fenders to gain some extra clearance, or buy flat fenders, but most people start off with some kind of a lift. We have a 2.5-inch coil lift on this Jeep, but to put 35s on there, we will probably have to end up cutting the fenders to articulate off-road. So you can run 35 stock, but if you go off-road, you're going to cram your tire into your fender. So that's why you need the extra clearance if you're going to off-road it. Another thing, the 35 tire is going to be heavier and bigger. It's not going to fit on your factory mount for your tailgate. That's why we had to install something to carry the extra weight. In this case, we went with a Red Rock tire carrier that puts most of the weight on the hinge joint. So now we can actually carry a heavier spare and still be okay. We needed a bumper that had more clearance, so we had to get an aftermarket bumper. All of that extra weight creates sag, so our 2.5-inch lift went down to 1 3/4 or 2 inches. So we put a 1/2-inch spacer to bring the clearance back up a little bit. Now, once we put the bigger tires on, we're going to have more stress on our ball joints and our U-joints, and more stress on our steering components, because the contact patch for the new tire will be a little wider and a little longer, so there'll be more rubber on the road or the dirt or whatever. But every time you're steering, that's more stress on all of that, all those joints, all those components. So what goes into running a 35-inch tire on the Jeep? In a perfect world, if you had an unlimited amount of money, you'd get a perfect 3-inch lift or more, buy you some flat fenders, and get a bumper that has a built-in tire carrier. If you're on a budget, like we are, then you try to balance out the pros and cons of different options. You get a budget-friendly tire carrier that will still work. You get a budget-friendly bumper that will still work. It's got a big cutout. And you get as much clearance as you can without having to buy upper and lower control arms just to correct your steering geometry. That's about 2.5 inches. And then you cut your fenders. You do all that, you can run 35s and still go off-road. Once all of the other stuff is done, you've lost your third brake light. So for us, we went with this LED ring so that we would have some kind of brake light, third brake light, required by law nowadays. But the other thing to think about is your gearing. This is a sport with 3-2-1 gears. We can use the computer to adjust the tire size so the Jeep will know better when to shift, and that'll help some, but it's still not going to have the pickup that we're used to. And we're already running 33s, so now that we're going to be running 35s, it's going to be really slow. So upgrading your gears is another expense to moving up to 35s that we haven't even talked about yet.